trading. Okay. It's also just as hard to quit trading when you're losing. So, either way, let's talk about our week in review, kind of what we're looking for next week and everything in between. But obviously, we're doing really good this month. Not every month is that green. This is from July, so that's why this is so big. It also includes two FX accounts and the Dragonfly account. So, if I take those off, we're probably sitting about half this. But either way, we just hit 200K in a month, which is pretty incredible, right? I'm likely going to take a lot of the FX stuff off for most of my tracking, but it was just cool to add and, for conversational purposes and to kind of see what's possible. So before I go off into everything else, obviously for YouTube, clickbait, that's amazing, but we also know that some of that's prop firms. Not all of it is yours until you can kind of jump through all the hoops and consistency rules and everything in between to actually get access to that. So we know that just, keeping it all 100%. Yesterday I did blow funded Take Profit Trader Pro. I was doing great, and I was like, just this last one trade, and I took the entire buffer and everything else all gone. But either way, that's included in this in totality. So I was up over 30K on the day, but after the losses and stuff, that's where it kind of sits. So overall, this is where we're sitting. Not too bad of a week. I don't know how much more I'm going to trade this month, or if I'll just keep it slow. I'm kind of waiting on some payouts for a couple of different firms, so I need to slow down a little bit and kind of go from there. So, trades we took this week in class, let's see. If I go all the way back to Tuesday, this is 5 minutes. It's going to be a little messy. I could probably take a few of these things off. Maybe. Tuesday was a bit of a chop day. We really didn't go anywhere, but overall, we were patient on the trade, so we didn't just take that first kind of pump to the downside. I liked how this was sitting. We were on the 2-minute time frame, so we made our first impulse. We kind of created that retest, and we kind of took it all the way down. So overall, not a bad trade. We wanted a little bit more continuation here, but obviously didn't get it. We ended up pulling back up. Didn't call any further trades in terms of class, and that was really it. I didn't love the price action nor where we were sitting or the indirection on the day. Now Wednesday. Yeah, Wednesday on the other hand, very patient, waited for us to kind of swing a little bit of that liquidity, still didn't take the highs, but we took that first kind of impulse still inside of this 5-minute range. So it's really not as much looking at that orb mentality, but just looking at actual price a little bit more. Sorry, I turned on this EMA for the developer conversation. We don't technically need it on or anything else, but that's okay. Anyhow, so beautiful entry, great R to R. Almost every trade this week was over or around a 3 R to R, which is fantastic. On this day particularly, we talked about, I don't know, I think 5 or 6 is how many we mentioned, different little 10, 20-point scalps. But in an effort to kind of get this bigger move, right? And obviously the market's moving a lot with our current presidency and everything else. We can't always expect these 30 and 60 and 100-point moves to play out beautifully. But I am looking for that better R to R. It's really easy to kind of come in on a day like this. I don't know if it's going to go back to the right day. There we go. And you could have scalped this down, JGS. We've got this nice, once we got back above this candle here, you've got a nice scalp up. You've got a little scalp up. You've got a scalp down. You got like 50 trades in here, all of which went for 20 points or more, or 10, 20 points-ish. But we were smart. We were patient. We got this trade. We called this one as well. Not nearly a good stop loss there, obviously, because you really have to kind of give it structure, in my opinion. Sure, you can use the candles, and a lot of YouTubers are like, yeah, just use that candle. But then your accuracy is going to get down so much. I don't think it's necessarily worth it. Obviously, Wednesday we sold all the way down. This was 50% of that full high to high, low to high move. We kind of tapped perfectly into that bounce back out, came all the way down. And now, of course, we're on today. So today we took literally just one trade, but it was smooth, very well managed. Still working on my settings for ATM on Tradeovate, mostly because the market's always moving, and I'm trying to manage so many different things. I need to capitalize and not let that trailing drawdown, beat me up either. So it's kind of just that hard between a rock and a hard place, if you will. So I did close out of some of it way too soon. That setting was still way too tight, but the rest of the position held the entire time. Obviously, on the day, we just went up all day. Once we broke out of this high, this was, what is that, 61% retracement of this move to the downside. We knew we were up on the day. We talked about that in class, and it went really, really well. So overall, not doing too shabby. Excited, but mindful. Very, very mindful. Just keeping things as tight as possible. Okay, So here's where we're sitting, 90 points, 60 points, 140 points, all really big pointers. You'll notice on other trades, a lot of those trades we didn't capture them. Well, some of those we did. But again, the market's been moving, so that's easier. When the market's moving, that's fantastic, right? But great R to R. So overall, finished the week off 290 points, 13% return if you're trading your live accounts. I'm still working on getting some of the stuff with Ninja Trader, Trade Locker, and just everything. I want it to be in one spot so I can take my trade on the day, probably risking dynamically less because it would be managing so much and just going on with my life. On a day like yesterday, it was really smooth, so a lot of active trading. Today, not a lot of active trading, although it was buying all day. It was really easy, just take every retest. Great R to R, but there you go. So overall, we're up over 420% on the year, provided you only risk 1%. And I wish I had it pulled up right now, but it's probably going to take forever for it to kind of load, I bet. Let's see if it does load for me. It's been a while since we pulled this up, but remember, it's harder to do in the futures side of things because you simply don't have the leverage as what you would do with the Forex side or other investments. But you don't have to just risk 1%. So if you were risking 3%, for example, of your capital, 2 or 3% of your capital, and you got an average R to R of, our average return right now is 3, but that's probably because of this outlier of a week, which is not typically the case, let's be fair. But either way, let's lowball it. That is an insane amount of money. If you're starting with your own capital, obviously it's going to be tight on the front end because you can't afford to lose a lot. But that is not a bad way to be. Starting with your own capital, $10,000. Let's say you put your own money. You're not buying prop firms. And this is going to recalculate. If I can do it right. Maybe. There we go. I got it. Holy cow. 10,000. That is insane. Oh, that's back to 9%. I was like, that's not right. Something is wrong. Those numbers are way too big. I didn't mean to put a 9 there. That's why. But you can see, turn your $10,000 into, if you're watching this box right here, it's just auto-calculating and placing the losses and wins kind of sporadically because you can't control whether or not you get this big streak of winners or this big streak of losers. Nor can you control if the string of losses comes at the end of your compounding. Of course, it's going to cost you more than if your string of losses comes at the beginning. But again, it takes a lot to kind of get to the bottom of this. Either way, 72 trades, if you're taking a couple of trades a day, this is accomplishable in weeks, maybe a couple months, right? So this is where we're sitting. Of course, in the community, they're all doing really good. We've got a couple of people who are just doing a great job, first off, posting, passing prop firms, getting payouts. This is our automation for futures, going pretty well overall. We just had a meeting with the developer, if I could talk properly. Meeting with the developer, kind of going over all the final steps, getting this off of TradingView onto Ninja, Meta, and we'll talk about some other platforms too, but I think those are the two most important ones for most of our clients. So imagine being able to kind of capitalize on this is all automated. Just go into the market, something like Apex where you have to prove your rules, prove your consistent strategy, get your 100 or a couple $100 a day, run it on 5 accounts, and I'll do it completely hands-free. So that's what we're building. Overall, not a bad way to be. Dragonfly is going really, really good. It's just doing our thing. We've got automation. We've got challenges passed. We've got payouts somewhere up in here. Don't ask me where. But either way, the people are doing it. And just day by day by day by day, we're getting it done. So obviously, if you have questions, comments, or would like to be involved, check out sixfiguretradingcoach.com. If you are purchasing a platform, check out our link tree or use code 6FTC for all things. Or we've got a couple of other codes in there. So overall, it's been going pretty good. So next week, what I'm looking for in the markets, let me think about how I want to do this. I'm going to go all the way up to the 4-hour. And I'm going to go completely into show nothing. So in the 4-hour, hide all, refresh the chart. We are again almost all the way up at that all-time highs. So of course, we've got earnings that could possibly be pushing us up, but we are in that final quarter, which earnings should be kind of interesting to kind of go through. This isn't a lot of points, though. If you look at that, that's barely 140 points to the upside. I think our bigger target, our weekly ATR targets are on the 400s and 500s. So 25,500 loading as a good target. Obviously, we've had our nice impulse today. Let's see what happens tomorrow and how we close out the week if we're going to close out. or kind of consolidate and come back down. We do have potential news with the government shutdown and all the other things going on. Either way, before we get really heavy on the sells, we're now going to need to break back below kind of this yesterday's daily close level, if you will, or back below the trend line. So we are going to need to break the 24,900s in order to really start considering sells. And even then, we've got quite a few just levels to the downside. Mind you, we still have a bit of a gap. The gap was filled mostly for regular trading hours, but it's not entirely filled. So when and if, right, when and if we get that big powerful move to the downside, remember that's 1,200 points from the top to this bottom here. That's going to be the target. So anything can happen. 25,500 loading, and we'll see. We'll see what happens next week. As always, if you have any questions, comments, go put them in our Discord. It's free, public. Go ahead and join it. You can find that in the description below. And otherwise, I hope you guys all have a beautiful weekend. Get off the charts. Go do something beautiful in nature. Take a trip. Make something yummy. I currently have, what is it, vegetables boiling for like Italian penicillin for my, it's what we call it, like pastini, for my little guy who's kind of not feeling so good. So that'll be our dinner tonight, but I hope you guys all enjoyed these videos. Go do something amazing. Take care, and God bless.